Welcome back.
This is episode 33 of the Slide In Podcast. I'm Braeden Anderson. This is Kelly Gallup.
Happy Independence Day.
It is 4th of July.
4th of July.
And
nobody's drunk yet.
Nobody's drunk yet. And just to show you all how much we care about you, neither of us are out fishing the river right now. We are in here working, get these things done for you so you'll have a nice podcast.
Could be because it's a freaking lightning storm out too.
I wasn't going to mention that, but yeah, it is a lightning storm.
But our dedication is eternal.
That's what we call a win-win. All right, we've got a lot of fun stuff to talk about today. I wanted to start with a little bit of wrap-up from last week's episode. Last week's What's Kelly Pissed About segment, which was...
Yeah, I didn't get to see that.
It was...
Pit toilets?
People who...
Crap in toilets?
Mess
all
up
over toilets?
Pit toilets. And I was...
I wasn't sure we were even going to do that.
Oh, yeah,
I
we
went
did.
on quite the rant.
We did. People liked it. I think people thought it was funny.
Everybody wants to hunt somebody.
Everybody wants to hunt somebody. And there was a new dynamic of people that I was unaware of. Greg Witt 4032 brought this up in a YouTube comment. He said, I know some hover shitters.
Oh, God, there's a term for them?
Uh-huh. When I told them what assholes they were, their reasons was, it grossed me out sitting on public toilets, and I'm not the only one, and I'm not the one that has to clean it up.
Oh, that's... I hope you're not friends with that piece of shit anymore.
I don't know if you can go lower than that. And what I wanted to bring up...
In other words, I'm more important than anybody else.
Yeah.
I'm just, screw everybody else.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
I am the one.
Down the hole.
Yep.
Got no use for those people.
So there's a...
Please don't shop here. I want anybody to know that we know each other.
Yes.
God,
yeah, it sounds like maybe the worst branded
my
person in
God.
the world.
I'm leaving now. I've had enough.
All right, well, Kelly's gone. I'll read the rest of this comment. When I pointed out that other people after them may not be able to hover and have to sit like elderly or kids, they basically said, sucks to be them. Sounds like a them problem, not
All
a me
right, well,
problem.
if them have that... do they do that at home? That's such a cop-out.
Yeah, no.
Nobody does that at home. And it was completely what he said. They don't give a shit.
So what this made me think of when I read Greg's comment was this
I wasn't even
theory.
pissed.
Yes. We're going to get Kelly fired up. So what this made me think of was something called the shopping cart theory. Have you heard of this?
Oh, yeah.
Basically, putting a shopping cart back, you bring things to your car, you unload your groceries. Putting a shopping cart back benefits you in no way, and yet it is unequivocally the right thing to do.
It benefits you. You can get your ass, get some exercise. You won't be so goddamn fat.
Okay, so outside of weight loss, there's no benefit to you. So the theory goes that if you can't put the shopping cart back, you have no place in society and you should be shot.
Perfect.
I think hover shitters are in the same boat.
No, they're first. I listened to the same exact thing on the country station in Bozeman, and it's a guy and a gal, and they're saying how they do. And the gal, who I love to listen to, I won't mention the station, but I love to listen to her. She goes, well, unless you're in a really big hurry, I'd like to know what is so freaking important for any human being, at least the President of the United States, that you think that 15 seconds is more important than you walking it back. I mean, what the hell is... everything was good. I was listening until she said, unless maybe, if I'm like really in a hurry. So what is it that you could be in that big a fucking hurry for? Is your house on fire? Just happen to stop and get groceries? That's a crock of shit. You're just a lazy piece of shit when you come down to it.
You've got the nuclear codes.
If nobody on earth knew you were there, that's the difference. That's the difference between real people. If nobody knew you were, nobody on earth would even know what you did. If you would do it then, you'll do it always. I mean, if you knew you weren't going to get caught stealing, would you steal? Would you rob? Would you do it? I mean, it's not, you can't just start with little pieces. It's just like you are that person and you are that person. You don't get better.
No.
Maybe after 12, maybe before 12 you give them maybe they like peeing on the seat. I don't know. Jesus, I dealt with Johnny for years. I mean, Matt, can he even touch the... Why did you bring that up?
Sorry, I thought it would be Fun and interesting.
It is. I like the hover thing. I didn't know there was an actual term for it.
Yeah, hover
which
shitters.
means it pisses off a lot of people.
That's a new one. I didn't know there was a term for it. I didn't know that was a technique. Chris, I told him about this, and Chris pointed out that in Yellowstone and a lot of our public parks, in those restrooms, they have
All over Yellowstone.
Well, they always have the picture of someone squatting over it with the X.
Yeah.
Because I know that's common in some,
Squatty.
Indian Asian countries. But yeah. So that's fun. This is a fishing podcast, but maybe not anymore. Maybe we'll just change it into a bathroom etiquette podcast.
What we've become.
Let's do what's Kelly pissed off about today.
Well, I wasn't really pissed off about much. Well, that's not true. All those stupid son of a bitches that are protesting on Independence Day. You live in the greatest country in the world, and you're out there being a dumbass. And I don't care if you protest, but when they do it, just to fuck up everybody else's event. I like the whole bulldozer effect. Gone. Protest somewhere else. It's 4th of July, for God's sakes. It's always been a great thing. You go protest in the park where you're not interrupted. If you're going to do that, don't interrupt other people's fun. Because then they just hate you more. And then the bulldozer effect comes in. So there you go.
I would say to play devil's advocate, isn't the point of protesting to get attention?
Yeah, but not at the expense of others. It's kind of like shitting on the toilet because you don't have to clean it up. How about we clean you up? Here you go. Here's a little fire hose for you.
That felt personal.
Go into the park. Go somewhere. Just have your own march. Just have your march. But don't do it to wreck other people's fun.
Fair. Don't hover and shit at the same time.
Yeah, they're the same people. But you're right. Now, the point is, the first matter, that you can protest.
Right.
I'm all for that. Just don't. Why would you ruin other people's? Like you're having a fun parade.
Don't want to
you know
rain
what?
on someone's
Come to Ennis,
proverbial parade.
Montana. Come to Ennis and interrupt our parade. You know?
Don't.
See how that works out. See how that works out.
I think they have kids with guns at that parade. There are
Why wouldn't you?
20,000 people in Ennis for that parade. Maybe 50. I don't know. It's unbelievable.
It is so fun because it is a town of 1,000 people, maybe.
Like the sign says 840.
Yeah, it's something, you know. But we live on 287, which I understand to be the longest interstate in the United States of America. And they actually get, I believe that to be
What
true.
about 90? 90
Nope,
goes
I believe that's not as
all
long.
the way east to west.
Yeah, well, this goes from Canada to Florida.
Oh.
It changes names in the middle, like in Kansas, but it's still 287, right? It's a contiguous highway. We can look it up, and I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But anyway, you got this tiny little podunk parade, which has never changed. It's the same people for 100 years. It's just their kids, same floats, same shit. And it's just lines. They get the ability to stop that highway for 1 hour.
Yep.
Who gets to do that? A town of 800. Ennis does. And it's cool as shit because everybody wants to come and see what that's like.
I mean, people are 20 deep off the road.
Yeah, crazy.
You know what I saw today? Somebody had I think it was an old Land Rover that they built a deck on top of it that you get up and stand on. Yeah, that's cool as hell. Yeah,
it's small town USA. We need more of it.
No, I mean the patriotism was pretty cool to see. A lot of people fired up about it. How far is the North Slide from the Fisherman statue?
I don't know.
3/4 of a mile?
Maybe. I mean, yeah, maybe.
There are cars parked on the highway way past the North Slide. If you were the two kids throwing the football over my truck outside the North Slide this morning, caused me a lot of undue stress.
Might have been my son-in-law's. I'm not sure.
Who? What was his name? Jacob?
No, he's like whatever his name, whatever it is.
Son-in-law. Yeah.
My son-in-law. I heard that my ex Penny and my kids and their significants were in shoplifting.
Yes, I saw Penny today. I think they called it a family shopping spree. They just pick shit up and take it.
That's perfect. That's how it should be.
Yeah, Penny came to the back and said hello. She dropped the news on me that you're moving back to Traverse City, Michigan. I said, well, shit, my job's probably gone now.
No, I think it's more, the reality of that is more that I'm looking at buying a house back there so she and the kids can go play.
Gotcha.
I says, it'd be a lot cheaper for me to put you up in the best hotel in the place for like a week, 10 days, the whole family and food, than the housing that I'm looking at back there.
Yeah, well, that's what she
I
said.
showed her one really nice one, because the girls had want to go back to Traverse City.
Yeah.
And now their husbands want to go back, so here's so much about it, right? So I showed her one really nice house. She was, we're thinking bigger. Of course, she always gets the girls involved, get their voices. Yeah, we're thinking bigger. Of course you are.
You're getting teamed up on it. Again,
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Penny said she just wanted a free place to stay. Honesty is a great policy. All right, let's dive into some questions. This one comes from Tight Lines Northwest on YouTube. He said, "Howdy, Slide In crew. Loving the series so far. Keep it up. I live and mostly fish in Western Washington. I'm about 35 miles south of Seattle. I do get over to the east side of the Cascades as much as I can to fish as well. Most of our walkway water on the west side is accessible via some sort of public park. This means the water typically gets pretty busy with non-anglers by mid-morning in the summertime. How much do you think that swimmers, dog walkers, kayakers, etc. affect fishing on any given stretch of river?" So,
is that your neighborhood?
That's my neighborhood. I wanted to reference a very specific place that I used to fish.
I'm having a hard time even fathoming what he's talking about.
All right, so imagine there's very few...
You're actually fishing in a dog park?
Pretty much,
park?
yeah. I mean, imagine like the Lions Park down in Ennis. That's your
like
access to the river.
Trees and shit around it?
Yeah, but that's how you get into the river. That's your only access is through public parks or bridges. There's no...
access to the river.
Yes, yeah, there's no fisherman access. There's not a lot of that stuff.
Do all the kids get to play in the river and the dogs and shit?
Yeah. So imagine being in a metropolitan area of over 1 million people with
no, thank you.
3 rivers. And so I used to go fish the Cedar River.
Drive farther.
Yes. That's why I used to drive over to the Yakima from Seattle instead of fishing the Cedar. But I get off work early. I'd run over to fish the Cedar. And, it's 85 degrees. And it felt like half of Renton was in that river swimming.
What's a Renton?
Renton's the city just southeast of Seattle.
I thought it was another
Renton
pastime or some shit.
So there's a place I used to go with actually Matt and Charlie, who both, Matt still works for Kelly. He's our manager of the North Slide, and Charlie worked for us for a year. We used to go to a place called Belmondo's Reach, which maybe is the least secret access in the history of the Cedar River anywhere around Seattle. There always tended to be 4 to 5 Hispanic families there with a copious number of Modelos. And there always seemed to be one kid trying to drown another kid in the best fishing hole in the entire Cedar River. So I know this is kind of a reality for a lot of our city folk who, try to go out and fish waterways nearby populated areas. But back to his question, what do you think, how long do you think it takes for fish to recover after recreationalists pass through the river, whether swimming, kayaking, something like that, for the fish to actually recover and be catchable again?
Dude, is this I'm having a hard time even visualizing what we're talking about.
Okay, let's make it.
I got it a little bit.
Let's put it in Montana,
but
like Lower Madison River.
I don't think it takes them even a minute, to be honest. I was thinking of a much larger kiddie pool out back. our secret 30 foot of water out back. And again, I was thinking about, but first thing I would do is say, well, I'd try to get there at like dark 30 and see if I actually could. But if it's so continuous, you're talking about millions of people, which makes me quiver just thinking about. But the fish would I don't think it would mean anything to them.
Yeah.
The handful of places I know where I have fished, where it's, like on Lake Michigan, where there's marinas and people, we used to fish them all the time, people jumping in and swimming around, and you're trying not to hook people, and your fish are everywhere. I think they acclimate pretty quickly to whatever's happening around them. Rather they move out, like if you're talking real fish, if they move out and just become exclusively nocturnal, that's possible, I suppose. But a lot of those places on rivers I have, even like the White, around the fish docks. I mean, they just continuously catch fish.
Yeah.
You know, and they put, you know, I read something once where they said they put 6 million fish in, and they anticipate a 96% recovery for the anglers. So I don't think you're not going to go have a magical, you know, Hayden Valley experience like you're in Yellowstone, obviously, but I don't think I can't tell you. There's this phenomenon in this state. It's happened a couple times where the state records have been caught at the boat launch. And
Idaho.
Yeah, and that one up at Happy Hour.
Yeah.
Theoretically, that guy was back there pulling his boat out, and I heard this story from Bud once up there that the guys just cast a night crawler out the back while they're pulling the boat out, and he gets the state record brown.
That's Hebgen for people.
Well, that's where Happy Hour is, but
Yeah.
it was caught out of
Yeah.
Wade Lake.
Oh, gotcha.
And so, but that's not the state record up there.
Not anymore.
No,
Yeah.
no, I don't think it ever was.
Oh, it wasn't?
No, that's just a giant fish. But it wasn't that. But I don't think, to answer your question short, because I'm the last guy on earth to ask this. I would be one of those drunk dumbasses there because I would never go fish someplace. I'd just be that guy with the Hispanic family. I'd be down there hanging out with them, to get good beer. But I wouldn't be fishing, so I'm not really but I have fished in particular when I was younger with gear on Lake Michigan. I fished. It was easy to get to the boat launch. It was right beside my house. And we'd fish, boats coming and going, just casting off and catching fish. But I would not be like you went to the busiest place. I don't think you're gonna. You're just not gonna have an experience like other than what you're having. You're gonna have the experience you're having, but to hope there's a technique, I don't know what it would be.
I think you hit the nail on the head with get out early before the recreationalists show up. And then walk a long ways from access points.
Yeah.
I know at least in Washington we have same thing as Idaho and Montana, where it's the water bed is public, so it's all navigable rivers. The water bed is public, so if you can gain access via public land, walk a long ways, get away. Generally, the fishing gets better the further you get from access points.
Isn't a river another hour from your house there?
Well, the Yakima was like it's an hour and a half to Cle Elum from where I was in Seattle, and then if you want to get down into the canyon where theoretically the best fishing is, it's 2:15.
Yeah,
at
so
the speed I drive.
So like an hour and a half for the rest of us.
Speed limit for me. Yeah.
I don't have an answer for this one.
I think in terms of the fishing I've done around there, I mean, if there's a bunch of people swimming in the pool, it's hard to catch fish while they're there. I don't think Kelly puts up with this a lot. Here's a good piece of information which you're not going to like. Move. Go somewhere where there's less people.
Just drive further.
And better fishing. Come to Montana.
Drive.
Or go to Colorado. Where they're not populated at all.
Yeah.
All right.
Drive further.
Drive further. We're going to start, I guess we're going to jump back in with another question from Riley Foster, 5925. Michigan native here. I was fishing on the west side of the Dates and was shown a picture of a 31.5-inch brown trout caught on a certain river here in western Michigan. It was caught during the night during this famous hex hatch that happens this part of the year here in Michigan. I was hoping you'd be able to go over the mindset or habits of these large trout during this fabled hatch in Michigan we call the hex. I think that comment wins the award for most times mentioning Michigan.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's a good way to get in front of Kelly's eyes.
Habits. Well, first of all, I've been gone for a long time, but that's how I made my career. How I started it was that hatch. My first national fly was the Troutsman Hex, which I see showing up in a lot of hex things, but it's not called that anymore. But on those forum things. But there's no real secret to it. First, and there's even another one. I don't know how you'd possibly do it, but I was talking to Flip Pallet once. He fished it, and he said he wore a headlamp. We used to have if you have a real river where there's a lot of hexes, we used to have a contest. We would take a flashlight, put it under our face, see how long you could stand it, because you would have a picture. I can't. Person is completely bug face. Every single inch of his face is green with a hex fly is 2 inches or bigger, 2.5, and so I don't know how he did that. He said, I don't know how you fish those without those. He called it miner's lamps. Yeah. And I said, you turned on a light? Because that was always taboo. We used to always we called them Roman meal lights. We'd take a Roman meal bread bag and put a rubber band over the end of it so it would shine red before they had filters on all the lights and shit. But I don't think they even did as much. But the big thing about the hex hatch is finding, you just don't wander around in the night. You go in and you find your spot, and you kind of, for me personally, I was always looking for something that funneled. Like it could be a corner, come around, anything, a log jam that funneled great deals of bugs into one area and had a great tail out because you can't see. And you do all your practice stuff, and nobody did this, they just get there and start shooting. Because you're basically going by sound, and which is a really exciting thing. It's also stimulating to be in a swamp in the dark in the middle of nowhere and having to walk out of it. And so, but you would, I had a black bear follow me once up a river for about 100 yards. I could hear him. Every time I would walk, I could hear him walking, and he would stop. When I would stop, I knew he was in there. There's not a thing, but nothing happened. But anyway.
Was this black bear your shadow? Was the sun?
And no, he was like 50 feet in the trees, and you'd hear him stop, and then I'd start walking. I could barely hear him. He's breaking shit, right? But
that was a Anchorman reference, by the way.
Oh,
there's a black man who follows me on sunny days.
Oh,
is that your shadow, Brick?
So, yeah, I do remember that now. Yeah. I would look. You pre-scout your water and go find these funneling areas that have these, because a lot of those fish migrate a long ways to those areas. And they can just be rando too, and that's kind of the fun of figuring it out. But a little bit of, recon in front of this stuff can sure make your life a lot easier, other than just tromping around. You'll be amazed how that path you walk down gets invisible on your way out. Even though you've done it 100 times, it's like everything changes in the dark. And so the same there, make sure you test cast. I have different theories on some people, like a lot of people, white wings, where I only used white wings in high moonlight, and I would always use dark purple wings on dark nights. A really good friend of mine Ray Schmidt, runs glow in the dark in his wings, and he has for years, decade. Matter of fact, look up, I think Ray Schmidt's, find his website. I know he's got a thing on tire. It's a great tire. And Ray's I just saw him going through it might be S&S.
Is it Schmidt Outfitters?
Yeah, well, it could be.
Yeah.
But he's got a tying thing, and he puts glow in the dark, and then he hits it with a light, and so he can track it on the water. I never did that, but Ray wouldn't do it if it didn't work. So I don't know. It was always kind of just stay stealth as you could. But that pre-scouting, and another thing, I was just listening to Alex Lufkus doing a rant. He stole some of my thunder. We were talking about hot water stuff. But he, towards the end of my life there, I left 24 years ago, but the rivers were definitely getting busy. Mm-hmm. And because it's not like you can just go walk around, right?
Right.
And so people stage up on this, especially if you're close to a road where they can get to it. They stage up on the corners that funnel the bugs, and that's the critical thing. But what people never did was fish in the mornings. And that's, I guess, starting to be a thing too. But if you went out at 5 in the morning, you catch these bugs are so intense, they're so thick. I have a picture somewhere of a hex hatch. It's actually not a hex hatch. The hatches are sporadic. They're all over. It's a spinnerflow, which usually starts about 10:30 at night. About 9:30, every fish in the ditch, you can have other bugs hatching ahead of it, and it's really great. And then about 10:30, everything goes silent, because that's when giants show up. That's when the Serengeti opens up and the lions start moving around. And so then you just listen for one big feed. But this particular night on this river, I actually set my fly rod on a physically impossible, called whiteout. The river is 3 to 4 bugs deep with hexes. And I put my fly rod on top of it with reel on top of a spinner fall and floated it.
Jeez.
That's how thick it was. You can't fish it. It's like all of a sudden, it's like, I mean, this shit got faults read as thunderstorms for years by Doppler radar. And so, at any rate, they find those places, get in, stake out, listen. Whatever you do, don't walk up to people at night. If you know somebody, so just keep your ass planted. You don't get to go wander around and wreck everybody else's shit. Hoverers.
This is what I'm pissed off about this week, okay? This is first what's Braeden pissed off. I'm pissed off at the 4 dudes who thought they were in some sort of SEAL Team 6 tactical fishing crew that are walking downstream with their headlights on at night.
That's tactical? That's scared.
They seemed...
That's scared.
Well, the tactical part was when they saw me and my friend fishing, they go, "Lights off, boys, lights off." And then walked past us. And I mean, we were at $3 Bridge. I mean, you can walk down on the upper bench and get away from the river so you're not walking down the fish with your light on. I don't like people who turn their lights on at night for any reason other than to see how big their fish they just caught was. Especially when there's some moonlight out. I mean, get out of your car, turn all your lights off, wait 2 minutes, and your eyes will adjust.
I feel your pain, but I do think they were trying to be courteous if they saw you. But that said,
no, I know they were trying to be courteous.
They're the only ones in the river, too.
I know they were trying to be courteous,
because nobody fishes around here at night except you guys.
It's a personal problem.
And that being said, I used to worry about lights going on fish, but we didn't have these LED shit back then. Our shit was, you just had those little lights that you put in here and turned on. Flex light, they were called, about as bright as a freaking candle. I mean, and it never worked for more than like 3 nights. Oh, son of a bitch, you're hitting this thing, shaking it. I know I put batteries in it, but I did flash a light one time. I don't remember where I was, but I had a really bright light. It was right in the beginning of those brighter lights. And I was just walking around, looking anyway, 'cause I was by myself. And here's that fish, and I backed off, and about 5 minutes later, I got him. Didn't put him off. Hence, when Flip, it probably was right after Flip, because I was calling Flip about coming up and doing a seminar for me. And he was saying that about we were going to fish the hex hatch. And so I tried it. And I had a brighter light, not like today's lights. I mean, holy shit, But I don't think it would have mattered.
I mean, you could have the power of a collapsed sun on their forehead.
Yeah, and I don't think it matters. I would not have said that had Flip not told me that. And he said he fished right so he could see his fly at night. And I can tell you, and the people that were dumb enough to leave their lights on during a hex hatch, like a dock light or something, when you do that, you come out to 6 bugs deep.
Yeah.
And you got to spray wash I had a buddy who did it. He has an actual photograph. He was on Skigimog Lake, the lake that I said I saw the 100 in for the Muskie Fool guys. That was the lake. I saw 2 actually.
I'll bleep that out.
No.
I'll bleep out the name.
It doesn't matter. Everybody on Earth knows about that lake. Okay. And so, actually, there's a giant just taken out of it, but not a honey. But it was Chet Grant, and he put his wife Elaine had a white Cadillac. And he left it's called Miami Beach Road. And this is a giant lake. It's part of the chain of lakes. And it's very, very shallow. I mean, a lot of it's 6 feet deep. And it's all mud-based. And he I guess he just moved there. And it cost him a fortune because this house got just wrecked by bugs. He left a mercury light on. And went out in the morning. There's a tape. He's got a solid wood yardstick. And his car is 6 inches deep with hexes.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that's how intense it can be. But the other side is like 2 inches deep on his house, and they spray washed it and pushed it underneath the battens of his house. He had to redo it.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, it was ugly. But at any rate, not to be...
The
hexes can be stupid thick. So anyway, just do your homework. go in and find your spots. Just be stealthy. Don't interrupt other people.
I also think there's an aspect of night fishing where you should use your light as little as possible, because
We always did.
because it's kind of cool. It's
Well,
kind of cool.
as I said, we did Roman
getting rid
meal
of
bags.
your sense of sight, right? And you smell, you hear.
Well, that's
you feel
like I said.
like
You
it's cool.
You fish by sound.
Yeah.
Hexes are you don't just blind fish.
Right.
I mean, somebody probably does, but the other thing I didn't finish was to go in the mornings, because there's so many bugs and they get stuck in these eddies and shit. And you go in the morning, especially just at daylight, or maybe even a little before you can see, and you can you can fish to zones, because those fish are actively targeting. It's where you can actually fish for a couple, 3 hours sometimes and get fish up that would not normally, I mean, real fish, giant fish. And so, I don't know, that's the only light, if you will, I can shed on this, because it's pretty rudimentary. You just go, find your spot, and wait.
Yeah.
A lot of waiting, because you don't want to.
It's waiting, and I think, like you said, go check out your water before it's dark.
I mean,
and then, like you said, make a couple practice casts. Understand what your drift is doing, kind of the motions you're going to need to make, which way you need to reach, whatever, to understand how to get a better drift when you can't see. And then, like you said, patience. Sit down and wait.
Depending on the ditch you're talking about, depending how far up you go up those ditches, there are a lot of rivers on both sides of that state, which are, the fish come out of either the Great Lakes or other big lake systems that feed them. And there's a lot of them that go into Great Lakes that start with a lake, go to a river, go to the Great Lakes, or even lake, river, lake, Great Lakes. And so you have a lot of migratory fish come up there. And it can be staggering, the size of fish and how fast so you get on a run, and particularly those areas, you can expect by 11 o'clock a migratory. They can come up 3-4 miles in no time. Yeah. And I've sat and watched them in rivers. I've been on the way down in some of the really famous rivers and seen lake fish. And I mean, there's one river in particular that it's about a 2-mile run up to the swamp. And I've seen 20-pound fish show up there. I mean, they're straight out of Lake Michigan. And I mean,
make a man out of you.
A 20-pound brown in Lake Michigan is a starter fish. Good luck. I've never seen anybody get one of those. I hooked one night that I was sure, I don't know if it was 20, but it was way over 10. I mean, because you can get a 10-pound fish resident in some areas, but this thing was, I mean, they tend to start feeding early, and that one did, and it just hit and run, I'm gone. It was like, yeah, good luck. It was in the mid-30s something, but so there's just something else to consider. Just if there's nothing there right then, and don't give up on runs too quick either. It might be till midnight.
Patience is a virtue.
I slept half the. I mean, I would sit there. I could wake up to a feed. I would sit on log jams, just sitting there.
Well, you can sleep better than most folks. When I walked in today, Kelly was not sleeping in his chair with
I was
all the lights
contemplating
off.
your life.
Oh, my life.
Yes. No, I was contemplating.
That scares me.
I was contemplating. I had the fat ass Swanee.
Kelly has a friend named Swanee who he calls Fat Ass for context.
He's giant, and so.
He's giant, about $180.
Oh hell no, he hasn't been $180 in 30 years, maybe $145.
Yeah, okay,
6'2" maybe. I don't know, but I had no idea. Thanks, Swanee. The only time I would say something. Wait till you see what he sent me. He sent me 40 years of collecting Atlantic salmon and steelhead flies, and he sent me. I'm going to show it all. I can't. Fill this table. I've never
when you were on the
seen
phone with him and he said he's sending you something.
something I'd like.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
You theorized about all sorts of horrible
I figured it's going
things.
to be. No, I thought it was going to be creels because he's also one of the biggest creel collectors in the U.S.
Gotcha.
Where do you see all these steelhead flies? I mean, and I was sitting here looking at all these necks, and you just can't buy the colors that Vervika and those guys. And there's 3 of my favorite tires ever. Bob, number 1. And I got like dozens of their flies. And they're all sealed and labeled and dated.
Cool.
And oh my God. Last night I just sat in my living room, in my dining room table, and I'm setting them out. And somebody walked, I forgot his name. It's from your neck of the woods. He came in and, oh God, it was hilarious. And I had him sitting out here. And there was this one I think, I can't remember, it was a blue belt, it was a Jocks guy, I can't remember. And they're just, God, everything, the Goldens are coming down. He reached in, he touched it. Hey, you don't, no. You do not touch.
Don't touch the art. You don't touch the art.
Don't touch these. Even though Swanee threw them in this box, and like, you know, but they were still perfect. But wait till you see this thing. But I was contemplating dyeing certain colors for flies that I'll probably never fish anyway. But it was just, I need my own. Moving on. Hope West Michigan got enough.
Lights attract bugs.
Yeah.
That was the other thing I wanted to say. I don't know if you're familiar with Norm Macdonald. He's one of my favorite comedians ever, but he had this famous bit about the moth joke that he'd do on late night shows. Did this joke a number of times. It's probably the worst joke in the history of the world, but Norm Macdonald makes it so damn funny. He basically says a moth goes to a podiatrist's office and, you know, starts whining about his life. You know, my wife hates me, my kids don't respect me, I feel like I'm a spider just clinging to my web. And it goes on for, 15 minutes of him just waffling about nothing. And then the doctor...
How do people say that's what I do?
I
read the comments.
Kelly might be the moth. But how he closes out, the podiatrist says, "You need to see a psychiatrist, not me. I'm a podiatrist. Why did you come to me?" He said, "Well, the light was on outside." It's just the dumbest joke in the world, but
yes.
I'm sure there's some Norm fans out there. If you guys don't know Norm Macdonald, go look up his stuff. He's an incredibly dry sense of humor. He's so damn funny. All right, let's jump into another question. Oh yeah, this is more of a comment on what we kind of talked about last week with ranking our favorite eats. This one's from James.
Oh yeah,
Rucker.
what's that? People were supposed to send those in?
Yeah, and a handful did. I liked this one. He said, "I've only been doing this for a couple of years, but here's my favorite eat so far. Shallow water redfish. It's not a trout, but that's still cool. There's something so exciting about seeing the tails in the distance and sneaking up on them to try to get the fly. 12 to 18 inches in front of them without spooking. Machaca in Costa Rica. Don't know what they are. They sound really cool. And then poppers for smallmouth and hoppers in the driftless. I'd have a little anytime anybody says the driftless region, I want to plug my ears and scream.
Why?
I don't know. It's a personal thing.
It's beautiful.
I've heard it's incredible,
it's
but
tiny. Everything's
I think
tiny.
Everybody who fishes the
region.
driftless region thinks they're really cool for fishing the driftless region.
Well, they're really good because they're techie fish. It's Randy
I
Sabota's
thought we talked about this last week.
It's
I
where
thought
Sabota's
no
from.
fish were smarter in any certain areas.
Well, a lot of those creeks are like this wide. A lot of vibration gets pushed to them. You can push them down walking hard.
So those fish are not
should
smarter,
go
but
fishing.
more heavily pressured.
No, hardly.
I'd love
no
to someday.
pressure. None.
Yeah.
I mean,
really?
well, it depends if you're in the Kickapoo or something like that. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's just really fun. It's very rural. I mean,
I'm very uninformed about it, but every time I hear it,
when I first heard it and I
pisses
thought it
me
was,
off.
it was illegal to run drift boats.
Oh, really?
I had no
You'd see
idea.
that,
It was
yeah.
100 years ago, and I'm like, we go to the driftless. This is, oof, I hate wading. And I started fishing it with Andy, and there's a reason Andy's as good as he is when he's that good.
No, I know some really good anglers come out of there.
Very techie water. It's very cool.
It's the same thing when I hear the Farmington.
I like the Farmington too.
Yeah,
You
I've heard
got
it's great.
issues.
No, I've heard it's great. I don't know. I got problems. I'm uninformed and I have opinions.
So what was the question? I forget.
It wasn't a question. It was a
Oh,
comment.
it was the eat.
Same thing. Harley Jet Sled said, number 1, late night top water. Number 2, everything else. Late night top water's not on my list. It's cool.
Depends on what you're talking about.
It's better with the lights on.
No.
I like to see my eat.
Yeah, that's a different.
I think in terms, if I had to rank my
If you had a hex hatch, if you'd ever fished a hex hatch,
I haven't, by the way. All that talk about it, I've
and you
never
hear
fished a hex hatch.
high 20s fish, for that matter, even a good 20, blow it up.
Yeah.
You'll see every inch of it, even though you don't see a piece of it. You will. It will embed in your head, and boom, you will see everything. But I grew up fishing largemouth, and I really didn't fish day largemouth for a lot of my life. I fished jitterbugs and hula poppers and popping bugs of all sorts. And it's that you have to use your eyes not to see. You got to feel it.
So if I was going to have to rank my senses and their
You just
correlation.
got done saying how fun it was to walk around in the freaking dark.
Yeah, no, it is. No, it's fun. It's fun because it's like, it's different. It's a new challenge. But if I had to rank my senses in terms of fish eating, I think sight's number one and feel's number two.
I mean, when that question
Touch.
got posed to me a long time ago, whenever that was the first time, favorite eat, and for whatever reason, I didn't think about my first steelhead on the Giants pool. I mean, I heard the cymbals crash when it ate the surface, and I still see every bit of it, right?
Right.
That's pretty freaking cool. But growing up night fishing, for most of my life, they're pretty cool too. But bass eating at night, that's just a gas. Yeah. I mean, that's just.
Yeah, I mean, any like blow up aggressive eat is really cool. But there's also dry fly eats are nice too.
Well, a lot of times with bass at night,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh shit, that was always my fave. Running a 5-inch stick bait, and it's not a 12-inch bass that just ate the son of a bitch.
Yeah. So Eric by hook or by crook said, does anyone else out here also despise sight fishing? I honestly don't want to see fish until they come out of nowhere and smash. OCD maybe?
This is a dichotomy. I mean, we're going to go from one to the other. He doesn't like to see it, and you just got done saying.
I just thought it was interesting. I thought it was an interesting take.
I absolutely love sight fishing. Absolutely love it.
I don't like it as much as streamers. It's frustrating watching a lot of fish swim the other way.
That's not sight fishing.
But I think that's what I'm not sure what he means. But I mean.
I would not have associated.
Like hunting fish is right up there with the best.
To me, that's what it is. That is the epitome. That is the pinnacle of dry fly. I've said a million. I don't like to sight fishing. Early morning sight fishing to particular early season when you got fish that'll chase minnows. It's so rare to find those fish doing that, but it's pretty freaking cool. Yeah. And but other than that, there's areas I guess you could do it. I don't know. I think he's talking about dry flies, and I still say that's the ultimate deal ever, period, end of discussion.
So on a tangent, I was just up on the Missouri for 3 days, and a friend of mine had a kid who bailed on a guided trip up there, so I got to go sit in the back of the boat for 3 days and fish, and went up to Land of the Giants with a really long-term guide up there, a dude named Jeremy, who's fishier than hell, and he didn't like my streamer game very much. He likes to fish smaller, heavily weighted bugs, split shot, long leaders, floating lines, fish giant turbulent water, and jig them down deep. And it worked. We got my buddy Greg on a number of fish doing that. I got zeroed that day. Now, I also, the system we run.
Where's the giant turbulent water on Lando?
It's outside fast water. There's boily stuff. It's not giant turbulent water, but for that river, I mean, it's 8-10 feet deep, and it's moving. It's outside bends. There's a lot of boily stuff that
That's not what I was thinking.
There's a common misconception.
I was thinking more like below the dam type stuff.
No. Just the outside edges down. But, with the system that you pioneered, you can't break through that water. You're not getting through it. That's why he fishes that super heavy stuff and the long leaders.
Sure.
And after Greg's, fourth or fifth streamer fish, he turned around and said something along the lines, in a joking attitude, I would like to add. He's a great dude. We had an awesome day. He said, I've been fishing this river, or I was fishing this river 20 years before Kelly Gallup came to Montana.
How old is this guy?
55.
He would have been 15. I fished Lando for 7 years and never saw a human being.
Yeah.
I never saw a boat. Never once. I was there a lot. Never saw a boat. And I remember I would like to, if he's 55, he started guiding, 25 years ago there, he's right.
I think he started guiding right out of high school.
Yeah, he might have. I never saw a soul there. I never saw, for the first 3 years I went up, I never saw another boat go across. Not only that, I never saw a guy where you put your boat in. The guy wasn't even open. I had to go. He finally just told me to leave money, and he said, and there was no upper parking lot. There was none of that shit. And then all of a sudden, I haven't been back in 10 years. It got so crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of people there.
But I'm glad to hear that everybody's been there before everybody.
Yeah.
And it's just like everywhere you go. Back before you showed up, but
what reminded me of that
to me that fishery, and I used to fish a lot of spillway stuff in Michigan, and what I do, the system, if you want to call it pioneered or whatever, that's for first of all, Lando is a fake fishery. It's a planted fishery. It might as well be Rhode Island stocker poppers because it's all fake fish, really. And you got a concentration of fish that is so heavy, not to say it's not a blast of fish, not putting that down, I'm not saying shit about it, but it is not real. I mean, there's not another river like that has such a concentration of fish. But when I used to fish spillway fish or big water like that, I fish floating lines, I use 10-foot leaders, I would run split shot 16 to 18 inches above my flies and ran almost exclusively feather wing flies to look like smelt. And we would basically just tight line it. You were really nymphing. I remember fishing one spillway that's a pretty long one. It's an outside, just like that. But the water's turbulent, and then you can't see through about 6 foot of bubble. But below it, there's good holding water below it in the rock stuff, right? And they're waiting for shit coming. Spillways, as you recall, that spillway we were fishing a month ago, there's a lot of room for fish to hang out in.
Couple.
And couple
spots, couple trout mansions.
And as you recall, even a crankbait wouldn't get in it, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't going to happen. And no one system, take that same system and try it here. It's not going to work as good. Or maybe it would. I mean, there's never a bad time to have a jiggy fly down there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's never. And it's an adaptation to get fish.
What hit me is kind of what was interesting about this experience, right, is I fish with people who are generally under what I would call the Kelly Gallup umbrella / sphere of influence, right? Your guides, your shop guys, people who come to the shop who have been fans of kind of you and your work for a long time. So there's a lot of kind of echo chamber of things that you've said amongst all of us.
Oh, they tell me what I do. Remember that guy was in here and told me that's not what Kelly would say?
I don't remember that.
You weren't in here?
No.
Oh, he told
You didn't
me.
know that you were Kelly?
No.
Oh, God, that's funny.
He told me, he says, that's not what Kelly says. I says, I'll have to ask him. I never told him a word. I hear it too.
All right, so there's obviously what you've said has grown and adapted and changed, but fishing with guys who are incredibly fishy. We were out with Jeremy, Tanner, and John. John LaRue, actually, you did a fish for him one day. You remember John? Yeah, so I was in the back of his boat 2 days ago.
Oh, cool.
And he did a steelhead for him, about a 16-pounder. He said, if he remembers correctly, but. Incredibly fishy guys, great fishing guides. But it was just interesting to me how differently we read water. They read water, obviously, from the perspective of trying to put their clients on fish and for their methodologies versus, I fish your style. And I've learned a lot about reading water from being out in the boat with you. I wanted to target an entirely different type of water that they just don't fish. Part of it, you can't nymph some of that water. Those, the weed mats and all that stuff are really hard to nymph. But, the system that Jeremy had developed worked really well in deeper, faster water.
Sure.
Whereas I'm looking at that and I'm looking off the right side of the boat going, I want to be on the inside. I want to be at that 1.5 to 4 feet.
In those weed beds.
In the weed beds, and that's where my stuff works. That's where I'm confident. I know this is going to be hard for me out here. It just goes to show there's so many different ways to catch
exactly.
fish.
It's not, there's no one way to skin the cat. It's period. I would do the same thing if it was up there. I wouldn't, you can't get your fly down. You can't,
No, I couldn't get it. I put on the heaviest stuff I had.
If I'm guiding, to be clear, I didn't do what I did to make it end where I just wanted to change something. I just was curious, and so what I did was different than what people had done before that. But it doesn't end with that.
No.
How many, Jesus, look at all the flies still coming. We're just, every day it's a different way to do it. And for whatever his name, here's the world's simplest crayfish. I'm working on a fly right now, whole series, that whole belly bump thing.
Yep.
But there's a difference. I don't want to nymph streamers. Yeah. I did it all my life in every spillway we ever fished. That's how we did it. And we lived on spillway fishing. When you want to see you want to see a 20-pound potential river brown, you go in the fall to a spillway. And there will be fish stopped there that are intentionally heading upstream to spawn, and you're going to see those giant fish. And that's how we fished them. 3 number 7s up above, and we just drop and just tighten jig them as we went through. That's how you did it. That's how you got giant freaking fish.
Yeah.
But about as boring as, any other, it's like rolling a night crawler. That's exactly what we were doing. We all started night crawler fishing.
Yeah, totally.
And so, but hell, if I wanted to put my clients, and that's the difference. It's just like a person that won't fish anything except upstream dry flies. They've caught all they want to do. Now that all they want is that eat. They just want that style of fishing. But who gives a shit? If that's not your gig, it's not your shit. And I would, I caught thousands of fish at Lando. Thousands, and shit, had 100 fish days with 2 of us, easy. And not, my style, other style. Jesus, going up nymphing it, oh my God.
Yeah, well, that's how if you really want to get it.
Back when, what was his name, Jeremy?
Jeremy. Yeah.
Jeremy. When I first started 23 years ago was the first time I fished below the dam. Me and John Ricks, and we never saw a person. And the third day, one of his buddies came down. I think, and all we did was nymph caddis.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Just hammered them.
Oh my God. I had no idea they planned 300,000 fish in that lake. I'm thinking, this is the greatest thing ever. But after a while, it was like, okay, well, that's done. Yeah. Right? Now what? So then walk downstream and dry fly fish, anything you want, fish, streamer fish.
It is a shockingly good dry fly fishery.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. Actually, for
I got my ass kicked in.
He's probably the kid that I used to follow watching because he would always get these giant dry fly fish. Yeah. I'll bet it's him because he was the first guy I saw up there that had a sled, and he would routinely be posting up mid and upper 20 fish on caddis eats.
It wouldn't surprise me if it was him. I know he's been up there for a long time, and he's. Yeah. By the way, if you guys want to reach out to these guys, fish these places, Wolf Creek Angler is who we went through, and it was John LaRue, and I don't know the last names of either Tanner or Jeremy, but they're great dudes. And Tommy is another guy that was kind of part of the group up there. I started calling them the Learned Mafia, not to their face. They're all, with the exception of Jeremy, they're all school teachers in Helena. They're all high school teachers, and they guide during the summers.
Oh, sweet.
And they're all like math and science
I wonder
teachers
if they-
together.
Oh, one of those guys is buddy with Todd Sampson.
Probably, yeah.
Because
They're such great dudes.
There
And,
forever, and they're all swing guys.
yeah, I thought it was just awesome. I mean, imagine these guys rolling around, at the end of the year, the school year, they're just getting ready to go guide together. And it was a cool program they had set up. They're great dudes. And in John's boat the last day on the mow.
Post them up. Post their service.
Yeah,
up.
I'll find their stuff. What was interesting to all
I'll
those
guarantee
guys.
you one of those guys got to be this kid because, God, he posts up some huge fish.
It's probably Jeremy.
And sometimes you get this when we talk about something like this and you think, well, that guy's only doing, none of those guys are doing one thing.
No.
Those guys know their shit because there's a handful of guides up there and I don't know them. I probably would if I saw them and I would watch them do stuff and it wasn't what I do for sure, but they were on fish every time.
Yeah.
I mean, the last 3 years when I was up there, the last pretty much 3, I never was alone. I mean, shit, we'd go up at 4:30 in the morning, and that was, but a lot of that was fall, and people were posting up on the creek trying to swing it. But you would see, I mean, I got there that one time, and it was the last time I went. There was like 26 boats there, and that's when it wasn't just before that when I found out there was an upper parking lot. 2 years before that, but it was just holy shit. But there's 2 or 3 kids that I watched, not kids, they were probably in their 30s or so, I don't know, but 40s maybe then, 10 years ago. They had different lines than everybody on the river. You could tell who came up and just was like rolling backwards and hoping they caught something, and I'll guarantee you, one of them. And then the kid that I saw, he was probably 40. But when I saw him, he was probably in his late 20s, early 30s. That kid Johnny would know.
Yeah.
He'd be posting up 26-inch caddis eaters with clients, right? That doesn't come free.
No, that's
you gotta
some
be
skill.
pretty freaking good to
Yeah.
know that shit. And so I'll guarantee it's one of those guys. Because at the beginning, there was only a handful, maybe 6, 7 guys. And then it just went. I hope it went down. It was just bad shit crazy.
Yeah, it really wasn't that bad when we were up there. I mean, it was.
I hope, God, it was.
I've seen it bad.
I just swore I was never going back because, and I got tons of friends that fish. I got a great picture of a guy in there. It's a new state record. Did I show you that, Brown?
No.
He doesn't want anybody to know. He doesn't want nobody to know what it is, but if you didn't know where he was sitting, you'd say it was Lake Michigan fish.
Really? Yeah.
It's not one of these. Yeah. It's one of these.
One of those.
It's like, he's like, and it's, God, it's absolutely stunning.
Well, so what reminded
Gorgeous
me of all of this is you were talking about giant fish coming up and slashing at minnows. They had just planted the lake with somewhere between 6 and 8 inch rainbows. And, we motor on all the way up to the river, and the first thing we see is big flash of gold.
Yeah.
Fucking wall of water spraying around. I'm like, Jeremy, it's now a good time to tell you that I only fish streamers. I'll throw dry flies if you see heads up, but I think I want to throw a streamer at him. And of course, he never came back. And we might have actually been competing against those. They stocked him, I think, 3 or 4 days before, and those might have been some full fish in there. At least that's the Band-Aid on my ego.
I don't remember what year it was. I was up there and I was alone. It's the same day that Dudley hooked me and I pulled the out of my hand.
There's a great video, by the way. If you guys haven't seen it, Kelly just shows you how to do a solo hook removable.
Yeah, because my first cast, Dudley runs past me like doing this stupid shit, and he catches my line. I'm letting the fish go.
Yeah.
And he goes by, and I'm going to throw it in. He runs through the line, flips it up and over, and then the dungeon goes through my thumb, and I'm buried. First cast. I'm the only guy in the whole lando. I'm the only person there. I own it. My first cast, I fish, and I got a thing stuck in me. The next fish I caught puked up rainbows. And I mean, not little ones either, 6-inch rainbows. And just, I picked him up, and it's like, holy shit. Out come 2 rainbows. Holy shit. Great.
I also, another thing I saw today, real quick.
I need coffee.
I saw
quit.
a clip of a guy unhooking a largemouth bass, and he's just about has the last chunk of his treble hook out of him. Fucking snake comes up out of its mouth.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Never seen that.
I know we talked about fish eating snakes, so that might
Right.
be relevant.
Yo.
All right, next question. Did we wrap up everything about Lando? Oh, actually, there was one more thing I wanted to say just for honesty's perspective. Didn't make a lot of sense. But the last day in the back of John's boat, I threw streamers for 8 hours. And if I landed every fish I had seen, it would have been the best streamer day of my life.
How many did you land? None?
None.
Yeah.
I had
Something was wrong.
I had one eat it, and I counted up. I think I did 38 fly changes, and
It's impressive.
I changed a ton. I kept getting moves and not eats, so I change, and I just don't think it was a bitey day. I mean, the day before
Happens.
was high sun, and I had 3 fish in the boat and moved maybe another 8 or 10. And the next day, I moved a lot of really big fish, really quality brown trout, and they just didn't eat. That's the way she goes. I think John thought I was a moron.
Someday you're the fly and someday you're the windshield, you know?
I think I was the fly that day.
Yeah.
Or
He splatted. You were
maybe
the fly.
just missed it entirely. I don't know. It didn't go good. Okay, so this next question comes from Blackheart 3A. Really appreciate the podcast. Looking forward to every Tuesday. Forgive me if this topic has been covered, but how do you all sort your flies in boxes? Dries, nymphs, streamers, etc. This is a massive undertaking of a question, probably a terrible question for me.
We should redo this. We shouldn't do this question. We should do it when we can bring boxes over and show.
Good call. All right, we're going to bump
I
this
will-
question to next week.
I will say this, though. I have gone old school.
How's
I
that?
have gone from, on my dries in particular, I'm going back to the compartment boxes. I just like them better.
Instead of all
carry as
being
many fly-
individually placed.
Yeah. I mean,
I like the box
My
thing.
nymphs are all like that, and my streamers, but I'm kind of going around in that. And as soon as those experimental boxes, well, let's bring the boxes in next week and show it, and we'll just start off with that. But we need to. You should really see those. But the nymph boxes, I still do the categories,
Yeah.
but.
All right, well, that was
We'll go back to
bad
that
job
next
by
week.
me. We'll pick that one
We
up
gotta have
next
another
week.
question, don't we?
Yeah, we do. This one's from Nadrin Sec. Tough one. You guys talked about fishing.
Can you imagine if I was trying to read that?
Holy mess.
Bill.
Yeah, Bill. This one's from
Bill.
Steve. Too many letters. All right, it says, you guys talked about fishing a zoo cougar when times are tough. Previously, you said you would go to the anglerfish when times are tough. What's up with that?
Anglerfish is last resort, like when the cougar didn't work. But it shouldn't be that way. It's just, the anglerfish to me is just so out of the norm that it's like I've went through everything, like the day you had where nothing would eat, nothing, when you're in Lando.
I did everything, by the way.
Now that wouldn't be the day I would do it. That I would have done what you did. I would have
Yeah.
kept thinking it was my retrieve, my something. But anglerfish is like, I always think of that day with Doug and I, and we did Glen to Notch, and we do not even see or feel or touch or even imagine that we had an eat. And then Doug told me, if you're worth a shit, you'd catch a fish here. And I put on the anglerfish, first cast, get a fish. But the cougar to me is, I have said it for 10 years, I think. Every year I say I'm going to do the year of the cougar and fish nothing but 3 colors or 4 colors of zoo cougars. It's just so, it's not that it's really fun to fish.
It's so fun to fish.
And it's the OG. It is my first, well, really it's my second, but the first one wasn't mine, the Stack Blonde. That was Joe Brooks. But it was my first national fly, right? National streamer produced. And so and it just never, and there's a billion adaptations of it now. And it's just super fun to fish. And so if I can, it's kind of, I'm cycled through, and imagine it's my original pattern that was just OG thing. And then you've been through, I don't know how many flies I have now. I've picked up flies in my own bins and asked Johnny whose fly it was, and it's been mine. And I'm like, oh, shit. And he goes, Jesus. I mean, it's just, I love to design flies. I don't, and when I was doing it this morning, I've been tying, I mean, it's what keeps me going. Fishing does not keep me going. Designing a fly that maybe does something different than any other fly does keeps me going. So the Zoo Cougar, being the OG, was a great, mid-level, upper and mid-level fly, but I didn't fish it deep. I told people this morning, guys, talking about estuary stripers. One of my biggest sales ever was to Portland, Maine, and the guys fished it in the estuaries for stripers. I'm like, what? Never even thought of it. Never fished it for steelhead. One of my other Dowagiac guys fished it for steelhead. But the point is that it's just a really fun fly for me, and it's just, when they're not going to eat or move on a cougar, I get really bad feelings, right? It's just going to be,
that
may not be the most
off.
Yeah, and so if you went back before I started this new, trying to go to under 200 flies in my boat, I used to carry 13 of the big swing leaf MFC boxes in my jet sled. And whenever I fish alone, I'd have 13. So that's, thousands and thousands of flies. I don't know how many, 300-400 per box, and because it's a swing leaf, and 13. And then I also had a bunch of the old school ones, the Pacific ones. And so imagine that you're going through, and and everybody knows that I like to go through my selections very quickly. So you get to the end and you put on a Zoo Cougar because it's your last one, and you get a fish, and you say, what a dumbass.
Why didn't
why don't I just, and that's every time that happens to me. It just happened there when we were fishing somewhere, and I put it on, it's like, Jesus, why is it my last? Because it was my original fly. Every fly you design, you think has a different adaptation or application, and so I say that I should just do a year of the Cougar.
Yeah.
But I would get so freaking bored of this. Like you told, who was it that in the wind that, which
Kevin.
guy, was it Kevin or
I don't remember what, I talked a lot.
Whether, don't let him change his fly.
Oh, yeah, I told both of them.
Oh,
yeah. It was Jason and Kevin.
I think Jason, Kevin was the guy.
We were all in that back room when I said it. Yeah.
Don't let him change his fly if we start catching fish, because we're trying to make a show and you got to have fish on the show. Well, I get bored. And so that's the only reason I don't do the year of the Cougar. But that's the difference. When I say it's my savior fly, it's usually the last I put it on. It's like, shit, I'm just going to, I think it's almost always the same thing. I've been through, like you said, you went through 38 fly changes. I've been through 24, whatever it is. And like, shit, I'm just had enough. I just want to fish something I enjoy. And I put on a Cougar and I get eat.
Yep.
This anglerfish is not one I enjoy because it's a jiggy fly. It's not as
heavier.
It's heavier.
Yeah.
I throw it. It's a purpose-driven fly that has. I'm jigging it. I'm deep, and not always, but usually it's deeper and not as visual, and it's heavier. And everybody would rather move a fly fast than jig one slow and unseen.
Yeah, because it's cool.
Yeah, and it's a great eat. So
it's hitting the long ball.
So I hope that clarified my statement.
So, I think this guy's reading in too close. I think everybody wants basically an exact playbook of how to do things. Kelly always says, he goes black, white, olive, tan, yellow, whatever. Mm-hmm. You've got your color system. Yeah. The number of times we've been fishing, I don't think you have ever followed that exactly. It's more about understanding why you change, and then adapting to the conditions around you. It's just important to change
with a purpose.
Exactly.
Have something in mind, and for me, going back to that rant where I went batshit crazy on that guy about selling flies, I don't change 5 colors and do the same retrieve on any of them.
No.
Or do I do, it's you're reading your water, your fish hopefully, you get an idea what the pressures are and what the sunlight is and the wind and the water temperatures, and you say, the show we shot on the, but I like to go in with a purpose. I like to set a rule, right? My rule is like when we did did that thing area, the one on the Henry's Fork?
No.
So the Henry's Fork show, my theory was it was going to be cold. It was a lot warmer than we thought. The water temperature was ridiculously warmer, like 10 degrees warmer than I thought it was going to be.
I still think your thermometer was jacked up.
I don't. But there was just way too much activity on those bugs. But maybe it was. But I still test it here, and it's dead on. I'm using the same one right now. But my theory was they're going to be low and slow. And we're going to do medium and small size flies. Particularly, I wanted to jig or slow jig crayfish, mini crayfish. And I thought, well, that'll be the thing.
Yep.
Well, it was a complete bust, right? And so, but you adapt and you keep going and you go and you go. And then that particular incident, in particular that one, I rode a pony way too long.
Yep.
I wanted to, and it just goes to, you can't, nobody knows everything ever, never were they anybody, and you break your own freaking rules. I just got it stuck in my brain. They were going to do that.
Well, so here's why my job was difficult that day was we shot, 20 to 30 minutes of stuff at the boat ramp at the beginning before we're in the water, doing all the things we need to do to make a show, right? Yeah, our plan for the entire day. And, Kelly likes to talk for about, 25 minutes when we do those things, and I have to make a 20-minute TV show, and we like to have some fish within the first 5 minutes.
And there's going to be 7 more hours behind it.
Yes. We go through the entire plan for the day. Well, 10 minutes in, Kelly cuts off the crawdad rig that he was throwing in the minnow rig and goes, all right, we're doing something entirely different. I'm like, how are we going to make this thing flow? But it'll come out at some point. And people keep asking us. We're trying to find, we're talking with some companies to do sponsor stuff right now.
But you got to adapt. And
you got to adapt.
There's no, and the only way you can do that, you cannot just do what I say to do. If you're on I can't emphasize how important it is to know your own drainage. You know, when you go to the Driftless, you go to the Farmington, you go to the Yakima, you go to the Snake.
Thousands of people I pissed off.
And you go there,
you guys are better than me, I know.
I guarantee you, if I go fish with Richie Strolis and we do the Farmington or whatever we go to, I'm going to listen to what he says first.
Yeah.
Right? The guy that's been there. And
it's like when we went down to Chile and you asked Miles, what colors you like in this river? What's the forage? I mean, you're not going in there with a big head of I know what I'm,
I don't think, I mean, there's just so much you can, and then you get you start, thinking that your way is the way to go. That's why I say I always fish with young guys. That's why I fish with you. I don't even like you when I fish with you. I like fishing with young guys. I fished with Johnny for 10 years. That was like being caned every day. And so, but you guys know everything I know. I would hope at this point, like this whole thing that you become, I would hope you guys know more than I do. You fish more than I do. You know everything Johnny, for Christ's sakes. Johnny sucked every drop of blood out of me that I had for 10 years. I would hope he's better. I mean, geez, if he isn't, I sure didn't do something right. And so I fish with people, it doesn't have to be somebody younger than me. Every time I fished with Doc Ellis in my life, I've been schooled and taught something I didn't know. And so, I go out and I just watch that day in particular, You guys kept saying, or Jake wanted to fish. He just fishes 2 colors.
Shockingly, Jake wanted to fish a black envy.
Yeah. It's like, does he own another flag? Does Chuck own anything besides olive envies? I mean, it's what they do. But
Chuck does.
Listen,
Chuck has Chuck bugs, which I just hammered him up on the beaver head on the Chuck
But I mean,
bug.
it was just, there are no, Jesus. The second, I swear to God, I know so many great anglers that quit fishing because there wasn't anything left for them. Yeah. But that's not true. The thing different about Doc Ellis and every other angler I've ever known, every time he goes fishing, he bombs you with 100 questions. When we did the lake, the first time he did the lake, he wanted to know every single thing there was to know about every bug in that lake. I said, we're going to be fishing calibatas. He wanted to know everything. He said, I'm never fishing calibatas. He wanted to know everybody, emergence. He wanted to know how long they were at what stage and what's their swims, blah, 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 blah. And the next time we go out and he's like, comes back, he's got 3,000 flies. They're just like, they're in my shop. I stole them. It's like, oh my God. There's every cycle of every season. Well, Doc, we're going to be fishing dead ones. We're going to be fishing the spinner ball. He says, that's all right, just in case.
Just okay. Yeah, I've got 900 of
kept
those.
Learning, kept learning. If I truly thought, there's a reason I sit at this freaking desk and tie every day.
Yeah.
I mean, if I couldn't do something different, I would be done. I haven't caught more fish. I know hundreds of guys better than me, thousands of better tiers. That's not important to me. What's important is that I'm learning something, and so I go out and try to figure something out. Yeah. If I thought, like when people tell me they fish 4 flies, oh my God, I would be done. Yeah. I just couldn't. And even though I don't think I'm going to come up with something better than, Tommy's drunken disorderly.
A white flathead kitty.
Yeah.
Maybe your finest work.
And I don't know. I hope that's not it, because, when the Slick Willie came out, I was like, oh man, that was cool, and that was fun. But it's like, okay, just keep learning, right? And you go, I don't know. When you watch people that just kind of get stuck on streamers in particular. I know a lot of people that carry 4 streamers. Yeah. And if they're not eating it, they're not eating it. So does that mean you go home? That would kill me. And so I don't, the books were the books and the videos, they were great starting points. I would hope there's some 20-year-old kid out there going, I can't wait to kick Gallup's ass. Yeah. Wait till I show him this fly. I would hope that's how it goes.
It's Kyler. He lives in a trailer over there.
Smart-ass little prick. Yeah. And so, but exactly, can you imagine if in any sport, what if, who was the guy that did the first 4-minute mile?
Barry Bonds.
4-minute mile. Oh my God.
Ken Griffey Jr.
Jesus Christ. Anyway.
Oscar Pistorius?
The runner guy. What was his name?
Not him.
But anyway, any sport in the world, can you imagine, in bass fishing? Yeah. What if we ended with one worm rig? Oh, by the way, the donkey rig, Rob sent me a thing about it. I didn't know. I did figure it out as soon as he said it. Yeah. I never did fish. We fished steelhead that way. Basically, donkey rig's what we use for steelhead. Did
you see the
slinky rig?
Did you see the comment from one guy? I'm sorry, I don't have it pulled up. I didn't screenshot it. He said, I know a girl who used to like to do the donkey rig. Well, fishing 2 baits at once.
I hope you still know it. But we did not do that on the streamer thing. We were inline when we did it. Yeah. We didn't. And the Carolina rig is not. If we would have put another swivel above that, it would have been a donkey rig off to the side. And that's what.
So I fished it a little bit up on the Mo. Actually, the biggest fish I think I moved the entire trip. I had about a 2-foot section of 20-pound to a swivel. Mm-hmm. Then off the swivel, I had 12-pound, maybe 2.5, 3 feet of 12-pound to a laser legal. And then off the swivel, I also had about a 8-inch chunk of 8-pound where I went down to that near enough sculpin. And huge brown followed the near enough sculpin. And it didn't compute in my head that he's swimming next to my fly that I can see, but he was chasing the little one.
And I wonder if that questions, I don't remember how it came in, but I do fish 2-fly rigs, inline, and I used to do it just like you do my drop shot, where I'd do it, instead of a swivel, I just did a perfection loop off the edge of it. And I run them like that, and we might have had a Carolina rig where we dropped one above it. I don't think so. I don't think I tied off the swivel, but I used to do that a lot. But I never found it more effective than going in line. Yeah. There's a point where, if I could go in line and I don't have to mess with it and I don't have another moving part in there, I would do it. But I don't think we did that on that Carolina rig.
No.
I used to run that. It would be kind of a donkey rig, but it's not off a swivel. The donkey rig's for, having them flutter style. But it's funny we were talking about that now because I just pulled up that yellow marabou. This is one of the, I don't remember who was asking, but these little marabou, I'd run those up on that. This happened to be back there and I grabbed it, but I particularly like to run those in that Carolina rig just on a dropper above the swivel.
Yeah.
But I didn't do swivel to swivel. But they just flutter all over and do their thing.
Yeah, they do.
It's kind of fun, but blah, blah, blah.
All right.
4th of July, let's go drinking.
Yeah, let's finish up. I might have a Coors Light tonight. I was thinking about it. Did the rodeo last night. I did have a couple. Ennis Rodeo, good fun. Those guys.
Tonight, too.
Yeah, those are men. What we do is fly fishing.
Yes.
I mean.
You think jumping on the back of them bulls is real?
Holy hell. I just can't, I mean,
The Bronc Riders.
I've been to the Ennis Rodeo before, but every time I go, I'm just like, ugh. Just watching those hooves come down scares the shit out of me.
It should.
You guys are badass.
Man shit.
I'm not. I fish. All right, let's wrap up. Let's do something behind the desk real quick, and then we'll do our band of the week and get out of here.
Behind the desk.
What you got?
Today, I don't know.
Also, did you find that other fly from Fish Chase Flies? I stole one, and I don't know what I did with it.
Fish Chase. Oh, I don't know.
No.
I didn't.
Shit.
Did we talk about the fly roast
No.
from Muskie Fools?
No, I don't think we did. I think you talked about the shirt they sent you, but
Yeah,
no.
well, the fly roast, that's pretty cool. And then,
Sticker back there.
yeah, it's a sticker. They
get a
also
photo
sent me
just
a
in case.
T-shirt. I did see something up there the other day I was going to bring up, but I don't know. I'm too ready to go play.
All right, well, let's can that one this week. My band of the week is going to be New Riders of the Purple Sage. You don't know them, but I bet if you listen to them without knowing who is in the band, I bet you'd like them.
I always can't remember who it. No, it was Cowboy Junkies. I think I was just listening to James Gang. Nobody knows who that is. Well, somebody do. Yeah.
All right, that was episode 33.
Good stuff. Happy Independence Day, America, and everybody else. Or as one guy said, Charlie O'Keefe sent me a thing. It says, "Happy Go to Work Day for all of you in Europe."
Yeah. Yeah, happy go to work day for everyone in Europe, and happy Tuesday the 8th for when you're listening to this. Hope you had a
Tuesday
happy
the
4th.
See you
Hope
later.
you still got all your fingers.